What did you say the other day about your toxic trait? Oh, you said that your toxic trait was like just like
getting to the line
without stepping over it. That I've never heard anything more true in my life. What's up, guys? Welcome back to Feast or Famine with the Youngs.
We are the Youngs.
How you doing? Do
we need a jingle?
We might need a jingle.
We don't need a jingle.
You know what? We might need a jingle.
Should we have a jingle?
You know what? Speaking of a little jingle, before we hop into our topic for today, it kind of is another hot take. And every time I think of hot take, I think of this. Hot shit. Hot take.
Do you want to get Nelly in here to see if he'll...
Did everybody hear it? We have to redo it if you didn't hear it.
Hot shit.
But the rest of it doesn't really fit.
Hot take.
Do we want Nelly to come in and record a jingle for us? And
Okay, literally, how freaking dope would that be?
we just need him to say hot take,
Hot
just like
take.
that. And we can just do a sound button. Mm-hmm. And every time we have a hot take, we can do hot take.
Oh my gosh, we should get
It needs to be the doot 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 hot take.
Yeah, we should get like a little sound thing. Like the radio has, like the Riz Show. The Riz Show has like all their
the radio
little...
shows have.
Do they? I mean, I don't really listen to any
Chris
other
and
ones.
Mike's podcast have.
I don't listen to any other.
I think they'd have a soundboard too.
Yeah, and like we can have like certain sounds for certain things. Like
They may
every time you make a dumb joke, we just have like a button, like a wah, wah, wah.
They may have gotten rid of it because the operator, i.e. Mike, was overdoing it, I think.
Oh, I'm sure that he would have been.
I'm not sure.
Also, I don't know what I sound like on your guys' end. I am very congested. I'm on the up and up of some type of cold virus thing. So I'm a little bit of a mouth breather the last couple days. And I got sniffles, so I apologize. I'll try to like move my face away from the mic when I have to sniffle. Like that. But yeah, so Alex has an idea for a topic today.
Why is it always Alex has an idea for?
Because you are the idea machine. Hello.
Yeah, but you have ideas.
Sometimes.
What are we talking about? But we always talk about this, though.
What do you
I feel
mean?
like this is an ongoing topic.
This is an ongoing topic, but I feel like it's something that needs to be talked about.
Have we really talked about it in this direction, though?
In this capacity? Probably not.
What is it?
But, I mean, you're passionate about it.
Are you not passionate about it?
I am, but like you are more passionate about it.
But it's about video, so that's your world,
That's your world.
right?
Yeah, exactly.
So you're not passionate about it?
Come on, tell us your fifis.
You're the problem. I'm just kidding.
I am not the problem. This is a mess. Guys, every time we don't have a guest, we literally don't know what we're doing. We just sit here and we're like, we'll just figure it out. Hopefully it works out in the end.
Hopefully it gets brought up.
Hopefully there's some direction or purpose to this podcast.
Yeah, this might be a short one.
Yeah.
Like right now. Thanks for watching.
Thanks, bye. No, just kidding. Basically, Alex wanted to talk about I guess the overall importance of wedding videography and kind of just how it's overlooked by like industry pros.
The industry as a whole.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I feel like now we are in a time where video is actually finally getting the recognition it deserves.
Yeah, it's definitely better than it used to be for sure.
I mean, video has been part of weddings since video existed. Mm-hmm. But it was never something that, like, was so easily done as it is now.
Right. And I think now, we were kind of talking about this, but now I think sometimes video from, like, a client perspective is viewed more as, like, and I could be wrong. This is all in, like, it's all relative, right? So it's not like this is one specific way that people see things. This is just like our like interpretation of certain things. I think a lot of the times when couples are thinking about video, sometimes they're more thinking about like the social media sharing aspect of video, not necessarily the like storytelling and like the whole reason why we love what we do, which is to actually encapsulate memories and, you know, allow our couples to see things from a real life perspective other than just like a still image.
Right. And like, I think that this wasn't on my notes, but I did take notes actually.
Ooh.
Very, very.
Wow.
Very
Who are you?
Very little bit of notes. Anyway, I feel like a lot of that mindset is because of what the videographers put out to get more clients, and that is
Like the
a
sneak
highlight
peeks
film
and
or a
yeah.
or a teaser film. So when people are thinking about, oh, do I want video? It's I'm not going to watch this highlight film except once or twice. So is it worth it?
Right.
Or this teaser is really cool, but I'm only going to watch this once or twice, and then that's it.
Yeah.
And we're paying for this for that, just
The highlight
5
film.
to 7 minute film and then this 1 minute teaser.
Yeah.
But what they're not seeing, because videographers aren't putting that out there, is the speeches, the first looks, the dancing,
Right.
the actual moments that take place that you are capturing.
Which I would say some videographers who are doing it right are doing that. Like, especially on TikTok, like
yeah.
that's the type of content that tends to be watched a lot, are like the dancing of like people, you know, like singing the songs. And if there's like a choreographed dance or a spunny, guys, please forgive me. A funny moment during like a maid of honor speech or something like
Or like
that.
an emotional moment during a speech.
Yeah, exactly. Like
Or-
we pull those and like we'll post those as like a short moment.
And I think social media has helped the fact that, to help the fact of showing that we do capture that stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
So the couples do get that. But I still think we're early on in people recognizing that that is part of what we capture.
Yeah.
And that is part of what they can get.
So like your part of like what you had in your notes was that sometimes like when people are going to start like booking vendors in the beginning of the wedding planning process, and they're looking at budget and things, it's like, oh, we'll add on video if we can fit it in the budget.
Yeah.
Right.
But realistically, and I may be biased, I am biased because this is what I do.
Yeah.
But it should, realistically, video should be up there with photography.
I 100% agree.
Like, it should be booked at the same
Simultaneously.
time, or photo and then find your video vendor if it's not the same company, or there are people that book video first.
Yeah. I mean, we've
and then
had that
book
before.
Photo.
Yeah.
But regardless, there needs to be some sort of shift within the industry so that the video isn't looked at as an add-on type feature
Or an afterthought.
or an afterthought.
Yeah, for sure.
Because of how important it actually is and what you are actually gaining from it that photography
just can't do.
just can't do.
100%. Yeah.
I was going to say something else, but I forgot what it was. Well, this is going to be all over the place probably. We're going to jump
No,
back and
that's
forth.
fine. Yeah.
The idea of putting out that like real content on Reels, I do think is going to help the fact that people are going to realize, oh, I get to see that. But
Yeah.
I still think there's one thing that's stopping that is they could also be saying that as, oh, that's just a clip from a film that somebody put out.
Yeah.
But realistically, like we offer, they can get the full speech of all the speeches that were given.
Yeah.
And that's just one of the like most easy and ideal things that people would want. I wish I had the speeches that
Yeah, me too.
we had at our wedding.
I know.
But I don't know where I'm going with that. I need your help. Pick me up.
I think, you know, it's just like what we said, like they're thinking of, oh, it's a 3 to 5 minute highlight film that I might watch like once a year when our anniversary rolls around, but they're not thinking at the top of their head, oh, but we can also rewatch our dances. We can rewatch our whole ceremony, our speeches. And then, you know, certain other moments throughout the day, if those are included in the package or if you add that on. And I can't help but wonder if like that's, and I'm not trying to like have any like shots fired here, but like I can't help but wonder if the importance of video isn't being pushed in the very beginning of the wedding planning process by potentially a wedding planner or a coordinator or something. Like they're just not emphasizing the importance. You know, I'm sure that some are, but I'm sure that some aren't either. They're like prioritizing photo, which should be, but the next thing should be video automatically without a shadow of a doubt.
Right. And we've talked about this, and I think the best way to, and I feel like we've had discussions with other vendors about this topic too, but the only way to shift the industry as a whole is to do it as an industry as a whole. And we have to look at it as most of the couples coming to us, it's their first time ever doing this. They don't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
Or they're relying on...
It's our responsibility to help educate and guide them through the process to set them up for success.
Because we are the current authority figures in this industry, whereas the only thing they may have to talk to or take advice from is somebody that got married 20 years ago.
Right.
When the industry was far different than it is now.
Right.
And that comes down to the vendors that are booking the couple first. The venues, the planners, the photographers.
Yeah.
Should be, when they're having these conversations about the couple's wedding and their wedding day, yes, here's what your vision looks like, but you really need to make sure that you are getting a videographer.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it shouldn't be, from a videographer standpoint, it shouldn't look like the venue isn't pushing videography because they want to make sure that money is spent to make their venue look fabulous and spectacular so that they have pictures of their epic setup that they can share, even if it costs the couple not having video.
But what's better than a video of your venue or of your flowers that you work so hard? Like, it's just, video just adds an element that photo just can't do.
Well, right. But I feel like because it's one thing in the budget that is just most commonly pushed to the side, hey, if we can't afford the florals to make this look the way we want it, we can't plan this wedding and design it the way we want it if we have video, so we're going to push video to the back and spend more on florals and rentals.
Do you think that that's partially like an intimidation factor for maybe like the couples?
What do you mean an intimidation factor?
They might like not prioritize it in their mind because of the intimidation factor of like being on camera. Like, I know that like it's uncomfortable already to have one camera on you. Like, you have to get used to having like a whole team of photo video cameras on you. So do you think sometimes, and this is very relative, it depends on like your personal preference, but like, because we've had brides who have prioritized video. We've had brides that have come to us and be like, video is like so important. And then we've had ones where like it's photo video or the same. And then we've had ones where photo is the most important.
Or they don't even book us for video.
But because like we see that type of thing and we have those conversations, we know that sometimes we get clients that are like hesitant about being on camera. Like, they're nervous.
Yeah, and
so they would like not prioritize video because they don't want cameras on them all day long like that.
And I think it's important for us as an industry to educate them on that, because the same way we do, you first talk about how important it is and why it's that important. And I mean, we've told the story about your dad, and we don't have video of our wedding.
Yeah.
And that's a good way to kind of break the ice on that sort of emotional topic.
Yeah.
But also it's a real topic.
It's real. Yeah.
And then next step would be, okay, they don't feel comfortable on camera. They don't want a team of 4 people around them. That's okay. There are options. There are videographers that are just a fly on the wall that you'll never know was there, and it's just one person. So
you have to like do your research in regards to that aspect and know like what the approach of that videographer is. You know, I can think of a videographer off the top of my head right now that is very much a fly on the wall. He stays kind of behind the photographer. There's nothing wrong with that, but he gets what he needs to get. Great videographer. And he captures everything. And he captures everything that you would want, but like they're not necessarily like up close with you. Now, I would say our approach is kind of both. Like there are moments throughout the day where you're kind of like off in the distance behind me or whatever. And then there are some moments in the day where you're right up next to me getting the same thing that I'm getting, just in a video style. So it just really depends on, you know, what you are comfortable with, and then having that open conversation with the client about what's going to make you feel the most comfortable. And we've also changed our approach, knowing that we have a bride who is like a little nervous about being on camera. So like we kind of back it off a little bit.
But you also need to learn it also makes it important to learn the personality of the couple also.
Yeah.
Because I said also like 6 times in that sentence. Because what we are good at, and I pride ourselves on this, is breaking them out of that shell.
Right. And making it feel like normal.
So that they're not seeing a camera in their face. They're seeing Alex that's holding a camera and we're having a good time.
Yeah, exactly. For sure.
And so it's not so much about the camera, it's about us and them connecting.
Yeah. Which kind of leads you into your next point about the volume video.
Yes. I think the volume video companies are also hurting the video industry as well, because
it's not a personal approach.
It's not as sincere. It's not as,
which we talked about this
personal,
a little bit with Maureen on our X.
By and large, most volume video companies, and the ones that I'm referring to specifically are the ones that you book the company, and then behind the scenes, they go and find subcontractors to shoot the weddings for them. Most of the time it's newer people, because they don't usually pay the greatest.
Yeah.
But they also are the cheaper options. And yes, there's
budget friendly.
Let's say
budget friendly.
They're budget friendly. Well, what's the budget? Lower budget.
Yeah, I guess.
I mean, let's be honest. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. There's low budget, and there's mid-tier, and there's high budget. There's people that will spend $20,000 on a wedding videographer.
Right,
There's
for
people
sure.
that can barely spend $1,000 on a wedding videographer.
Yeah.
So that's a low budget.
Yeah.
That's a low end of the market. That's just how it is.
Yeah.
But those companies are generally in the cheaper end because they do so many.
Right. They can. Like, that's why they can do. That's why they can keep their prices low.
What you're not getting is a personability, because you're not necessarily going to know who's going to film your wedding.
And I feel like we talked about this before, but I feel like they're getting the clients that aren't prioritizing video. But that's the problem in itself.
That there's an option that
is that they're not prioritizing video. Which they're like, I feel like I try to put myself in their shoes. Like, and it's hard because I just don't have that mindset. But they're like, we recognize the importance of video, but we don't necessarily want to push our budget towards it because any video is better than none.
Right.
So let's just get what we can get.
Right.
Which is, in my opinion, not the best mindset to have.
But also, it is real.
Yeah.
And that's fine for that part of the market. And typically you're spending what you can spend. That's fine. Don't hire the volume video companies. Hire a company that is its own company where you can have that personalized experience. Yes, they may be less experienced. And if that's your reason for going to a volume company, is that you just can't really afford it and anything's better than nothing, then go to the other person that is going to give you the better experience. Because let's be honest, if you see videos on a volume video company's website, they're only posting their best stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
Most of the time,
and they have
and
they have like multiple editors that, you know, you're not necessarily going to get the same thing. Most
of the time when you book those clients or those companies, you're not going to necessarily have a wedding videographer that is to that level that's going to be as good as the ones on their website, because they do hundreds of them per year.
Yeah.
And they only post a few of them on their website.
So do you think that, like, if someone's working with a wedding planner, do you think that it's kind of the wedding planner's responsibility to kind of shift the mindset of their client to recognize that having a personalized experience will ultimately give you like the best outcome as far as like video goes.
100%. And I also
Yeah.
think that part of this whole struggle with trying to show the importance of video is when mid-tier, upper-tier planners hire volume video companies.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's so many videographers that can do a just as good of a job or better at the video side of it, but will most always do a better job at the experience side of it
Right.
and the connection side of it.
Yeah. And because of the experience, like I feel like this is just my personal opinion, but I feel like if I, just for example, I would never actually do this, but like if I went and did like a session and I felt like it was the worst session I like have ever done, like my performance, like my, like just the way that I took the photos, like I just like wasn't happy with my personal performance, but I gave the client like the best experience and they had so much fun and they're raving about it. I would say that they're going to love those photos, whether I think they're good or not, because I made them emotionally connect to the time that they
experience.
had taking those photos, which is going to make them love it. And it's the same thing for video. And that's not to say that the people working for volume video companies can't give a good experience. I think that they can give a good experience.
harder.
It's just harder because you may not, the way that they operate is like, you may have one phone call with your videographer prior to the wedding day.
And it's probably
But
like a
it's-
month or less before the
Yeah,
wedding.
like you don't have a lot of time to get to know them. And they just show up and they do the job and they do it fine, I'm sure. But how are you going to view it looking back? Like, are you going to be able to emotionally connect with it? And that's what we try to make sure that our clients can do.
Now there are video companies that I wouldn't classify them as volume video companies, but they do take multiple weddings a weekend and they have a team of people.
Yeah.
The difference is when you book that company, you're immediately assigned a videographer that takes over, and that's the videographer you have.
Yeah.
Too many times in the Facebook groups, I have seen people that own volume video companies that post, "Hey, I need a shooter for next weekend."
Yeah. That's a good,
Because they
that's a
drag
good
their
perspective because like you see these posts probably more than like what a planner would see or any type of other wedding vendor would see, the types of posts and like just conversations that are had between videographers in these groups. So I actually, that's a really good perspective, I think, because you see it firsthand.
Yeah, and like
That's why you feel the way that you do, is because you literally see it firsthand in the groups that you're in, that it's like, I own a volume video company and I don't have a shooter for next weekend's wedding who's available.
like these groups have tens of thousands of videographers in these groups
Yeah.
that are one company that you book them, you know who's filming your wedding.
Yeah.
But there's also some of them that are they own volume video companies and they know that there are beginners in these groups and
Yeah.
they can last minute because they drug their feet or they lost a videographer, because that's what happens in these companies. Hey, I need a videographer for next weekend. I need a videographer for next month.
Yeah.
They're waiting until
The last minute.
So
Yeah.
what kind of experience can you actually get with somebody who you really don't know is showing up to your wedding?
Yeah. Yeah. Ick.
Because this is a very personal event. Probably one of the most personal events you'll ever have in your life.
For sure. Yeah. I totally agree. And then there's also, kind of shifting gears here, there's also the issue with the pricing of video. Like in my opinion, video should be more than photography. We've talked about this before, but there is just so much that goes into videography that photographers do not have to worry about. We don't have to worry about audio. We don't have to worry about, I was going to say lights, but some photographers actually use video lights, even if they don't have a videographer.
Well, even flashes. Like, you don't use as many flashes now off camera
because I use your
of
lights.
the video lights.
But like, they don't have to worry about miking people up. They don't have to worry about like tripods and there's just like
connecting with the DJ to get a audio feed and to make sure the timeline's good and to figure out what to do with the mic setup and speeches and
getting to ceremony, 30 minutes before so you can set up everything and put a mic on the podium and mic up the priest. Like,
so
we don't have to we personally do not have to worry about all that. There's so much that goes into like what you do on a wedding day that makes it so much more valuable. And the planning behind everything, it's so much more.
Well, and just down to the equipment. Let's talk gear real quick. You have, let's just not include any of your film stuff. You have 2 camera bodies plus a backup, which I'm not going to count that. 2 camera bodies and what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lenses?
Yeah, roughly.
That you bring to every wedding.
Yeah.
And then your memory cards, which the memory cards are also far cheaper.
Oh my gosh, you
can spend $50 on a memory card. One memory card for me is probably $200.
Yeah, that's insane.
Minimum.
Yeah.
Because they have to be fast enough to record the 4K footage that we're recording.
Right. So just like right off the bat, the gear and what it costs us to actually do our jobs is so much more than the videography or the photography side.
And if and let's also say let's say I shoot video on the exact same gear you do, same camera, same lenses. So that part's a wash. But then, like I just said, the cards are 4 times more expensive because I need to be able to shoot video on them, not just take photos on them.
Yeah.
Lighting gear.
Yep. Batteries for the lights.
Batteries for the lights. Batteries for the camera. Extra batteries for the cameras because video takes far more battery power. If
you have a display on your camera and you need a battery for that.
Tripods. Tripods are not cheap if you get good tripods.
And if
stands.
If you're into safety, which we are, like sandbags.
Cases for all this stuff.
Yeah. Tape.
Audio gear.
So much. So we can move on. But like so much of that. And part of the problem that we see, especially as like a husband and wife team, when, how do I say this? When people are looking to hire a company that does photo and video, I feel like there is an expectation that's set that because this company does photo and video, that there has to be some type of
bundle discount or incentive
to book them because they come together. So it's cheaper, right? And that is just a matter of a fact, especially for like husband and wife teams. And we are kind of handcuffed to that idea. So we do abide by that expectation reluctantly. Like, we are not necessarily on board with that idea, but like, we have to maintain our pricing structure to make sure that we're in line with our market, in line with, the people that we're trying to connect with our clients. And that's just the unfortunate truth right now. But I feel like that is a mindset that needs to be shifted, because technically we should have our photography price and our videography price, and we just do some simple math and add those together.
That's what I was getting at is realistically, when you look at the cost of doing business and all the things involved in how you should be pricing yourself, it really is cheaper to book us together.
Yeah, like there's for sure like
less
real incentive.
Communication is needed.
Yeah.
You only need one contract instead of 2 separate contracts. You what was the other thing?
All the like back end of the business stuff, like that, when photographers and videographers are like pricing themselves, you need to first and foremost know your cost of doing business. So that's, the meetings and how much it takes for you to do contracts, or how long, emails and all of that stuff. Like, you have to keep in mind all the back end business stuff. And when you're doing photo and video together under one company, it is easier because, like you said, there's one contract. Typically you have one meeting for timeline for photo and video, that type of thing. You don't have to have all these multiple, meetings and contracts and invoices. Everything's funneled through one place, which is why it's great to book a company that does both. And that that does help, like with the cheaper side of like making
I don't
it
want to say
cheaper.
cheaper, but it's less expensive.
Yeah.
But in addition to that, let's look at it as just a regular photo only or video only vendor that is doing, let's say, a travel wedding. So you're already paying travel, you're paying probably their regular rates, but they're probably inflated a little bit because let's say it's a Saturday wedding, they have to fly in on Friday, they fly out on Sunday. That's 2 days that they can't book anything because they're traveling.
Yeah.
So there's usually an added cost for the fact that you're getting them and they can't book anything else and make more money. In the same regard, the way we have structured, we will never do separate weddings in the same day.
Right.
We used to talk about we would, but it just...
We have we? We have.
We have, but we don't do that anymore.
Yeah.
So when you book us for photo only or video only...
That's just our personal experience. We want to, like, we are
Yeah.
the Young's Photo and Film, so
Yeah,
we
you get
want
both of us.
The true experience of working with Alex and I is that you get Alex and I no matter what.
But that's what I'm getting at. So if
yeah.
you book photo only or video only, that means we're not going to book another wedding that day for
Right.
the other one, for the other.
Right.
So it's going to be more expensive in general.
Which is why our
it's
our prices align on like for individual services. Our prices reflect that.
Yeah.
The problem is when we have our photo and video collections, we're crippled to not crippled. We are handcuffed to the idea that there has to be a discount, and that this also, it depends wherever you're listening. This is just kind of how it is in our market right now
as a whole.
But I'm sure that you see it across the board, like
as a whole, when
in other
somebody
groups and
says,
stuff.
I'm going for, because that's realistically how most photo video companies have promoted why you should book us both, because
Yeah.
it's a bundle discount, because that's just, people see that as.
Yeah.
And while that's slightly true, it needs to be talked about differently.
That doesn't mean that like one is less valuable than the other.
Right.
The discount comes with the fact that there's less to do on the back end of things that ultimately save us time, and we're able to make it. We're able to add just a little bit of incentive there, but the problem comes when one is valued less than the other, and a lot of the times we see photography companies that are adding on video at a cheaper rate.
Right.
And that's
Because
the problem.
that's when it's an add-on.
Right. It's an
an
add-on.
afterthought to the company as a whole. So it's
Right.
a blah, blah, blah photography. And you don't even know, like immediately you're like, oh, they do photography. Then you go on the website, oh, they also have videography? That's odd. And then some of them even will go as far as it's only available for people that have already booked their photography services. So then it's just further cementing it as an add-on, as just an afterthought option.
Right.
And
more often than not, it's not going to reflect the pricing that it deserves.
right. And I hate to say it, but more often than not, this isn't always the truth. This isn't always the case. The video isn't always going to add up and line up with the quality you're going to get from photography.
And we do mentorships, and a lot of the times we are doing mentorships for companies that are wanting to add on video. So we're not,
Or they're-
so you guys know that are listening, like we're not shitting on the idea of adding on video. Do it. Like we are supporting the
There's
idea
a
of
strategy
adding
that
on
must
video.
be put into place.
But there's a strategy to do it to make sure that you're giving your clients the quality that they need and that they deserve. And what Alex is like, what you're saying is when they're adding on video, they add it on at a cheaper option at first because maybe they're a new videographer, they're just learning, and that makes sense. But
it shouldn't be like that
it
forever.
shouldn't be like that forever. And that's the problem, is like a lot of photography companies are just leaving videography as an add-on at a cheaper rate forever, just to get a few $1,000s extra.
Yeah,
Yeah, and that's kind of ick.
it is.
Yeah.
Very. Because, I mean, realistically, those the photographers sometimes are, like I said, in that upper to like middle to upper tier market.
So when you have that, like as a client perspective, when you have that and you're seeing that, You have to just make sure and do your due diligence and research that the videography add-on that you are doing is going to be the same quality. They're going to put in just as much work as like a video only vendor. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like they have
To me.
like you have to make sure that like they actually give a shit, basically.
Yeah.
It's not just like to get a few extra bucks.
Right. And I feel like, I mean, we get non-wedding vendors that listen to this, but I feel like this isn't so much geared toward them to help fix the problem. It's more to educate them on what it actually looks like.
Yeah.
I think the biggest takeaway that we should be able to push on this whole idea is to fix the issue, we have to do it from within the industry.
Yeah.
And we can't just fix the issue as videographer vendors.
Right.
Because trust me, videographer vendors have been fighting this uphill battle for as long as I've been in this industry.
Yeah.
It takes the whole collective of the industry, specifically, like I said before, those main three vendors that are always booked first.
Right.
Venue, planner, photographer.
And this is not like, obviously this doesn't apply for like Le Rev or White and Reverie, or like, it doesn't apply for those types of vendors. This applies for just your, like, I don't know how to say, like everyday, like, because Le Rev and White and Reverie are spectacular, like the top of the top. So they get the clients that are prioritizing video, and they are paying just about the same, if not more, for them than their photographer. But that mindset should be the same across the board, no matter where you're at in your career.
Well, and that part of the industry is also great because they do it that way. They prioritize everything properly.
Yeah. Yeah.
And let's be honest, that's the 1% of the industry.
Yeah. I mean, there's also the mindset that photography for weddings is a must have. It's an obvious thing that you book, right?
Because
like you can't have a wedding without having a wedding photographer. Duh. But you can have a wedding without having a wedding videographer. It's a luxury that we get to be able to offer to people. And I mean, even a photographer is a luxury thing. Any type of photographer, no matter what your pricing is, being able to book a photographer is a luxury. Like
you could have a courthouse wedding, get married, and just, we're married, we're done, we did it.
For sure.
But you want it captured, you want the memories.
But like a videographer, maybe that's the problem, is like, it's the way that people just view it. Like they view it as a luxury that isn't a necessity, but it is a necessity. Like it really is.
Well,
how else are you, like, other than the photos, like, I hate to be all doom and gloom here, but like nobody lives forever, and the videos are how you're going to be able to relive those moments better than photo.
Okay, let me ask you a question out on this topic. Why? What's the why behind photography being so important that it is one of the first people that everybody must book, according to everybody that has ever put out a wedding planning checklist guide? Why is photography first?
I would say it's so people can relive their memories.
And that's why they want that, right?
Yeah.
But what allows you to relive your memories better than photography?
Video.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That alone, by itself, is why video needs to be looked at as the same level or even more important than photography. Not crapping on photography. I love photography. Yes, there is a place for photography.
Yeah.
There are things photography can do that videography can't do. You can put photos on your wall.
Yeah.
You can mail photos to your family members. You can put photos on your wall calendar.
Yeah.
You can set an album on your table and flip through it.
Yeah. But when grandma was your very best friend, and now grandma's not here anymore, and she gave a speech at your wedding.
Right.
How are you going to re-listen to that speech?
You have to have a device.
Yeah.
But that's okay.
Yeah.
That's why both of them are equally as important.
Right.
They serve very different purposes.
Right.
But they're so important. Both of them.
Fully agree.
I've said that 7,000 times. But
So overall, the whole idea and the premise of this podcast is just that videography should just be more prioritized.
And we have to do that.
And I feel
industry.
like I already kind of said this, but I feel like if for the people listening, some of them might be like, well, duh, like what? But the reason why we're talking about this is because what you, Alex, what you see being a videographer, like that everybody else doesn't see.
I just thought of one more thing that we haven't even talked about yet.
Okay. And that is like, and I mean, that really just goes back to like the Facebook groups and the discussions that happen in there. None of us see that. I don't see that. I am in that group, but I don't pay attention because I'm not a videographer.
You're in that one group. I'm talking like in,
but you're like in
4 or 5
multiple.
groups.
So like you are seeing it firsthand, the problem with how videography is just perceived in general.
Yeah. And one thing that I don't even know why I forgot to mention that is actually why I decided I want to do this topic ASAP, because I've seen several in the last couple weeks posts like this. It's not only photographers that are wanting to add on video, it's photographers that are asking how hard it is
to start doing video. Yeah.
Simultaneously.
Like shooting photo and video
like
on
you
the wedding
hire ABC photography, and while they're taking pictures, they switch to video mode and take a couple videos.
Oof.
But I think with all the things, out of all the things that we have mentioned on this topic, and what is causing videography to look so much like it's just an afterthought, this is the one thing that is doing it the most.
Yeah.
I don't see it a whole lot anymore, but
We used to know a lot of people who did it though.
It does still exist apparently, and people are still interested in actually doing it.
Didn't you have a post like in a group that you were in like a week ago that was talking
like
about
I said, in the last couple of weeks, I've seen a couple.
Yeah. And there's just like the problem with that is,
Well, the main problem with that is when you have somebody doing that, you're paying for a photo service, which I'm sure they're not discounting for you.
Yeah.
And then you're paying for a quote discounted video service, I'm sure.
I'll just give clips when it's convenient.
But you're only getting, in order for one person to do both jobs, they can't give 100%.
They're sacrificing, yeah.
They can't give 100% to one or the other. They can't do that if they're doing both.
Right.
That's just not possible.
Yeah.
That is why when we do weddings together, you are handling photography, I am handling videography.
Yeah.
We act as though we are two separate entities under the same umbrella.
Yeah, for sure.
Because that's what it needs to be. You need to give 100% to photography. I need to give 100% to videography.
Well, and I would also say that like if you're a photographer shooting video simultaneously, I just can't help but wonder if the experience for your client is going to be lack thereof, because I guess it just depends on like your approach. But like for us, we do not repeat things like over and over and over and over and over to get the shot. Like we want things to feel very fluid, very natural.
Very organic.
Yeah, very organic. So like if I am doing photo and video and I'm like, okay, zip up the dress. And I'm like, okay, wait, we have to do it like 3 more times so I can get it on video. Let me switch back to photo. Let me move you over here. Like that's a lot of back and forth. And that's
the first look. We've had.
Oh my God.
I've seen it. I've seen it firsthand when we didn't have video. I've seen it on groups, photographers not photographers, videographers.
Yeah.
Or people doing both at the same time. When you do the first look, it's great, super emotional moment. Then you tell them to do it again.
Yeah. Why are you doing that?
That is the dumbest crap.
What? Ooh, shots
that
fired.
That one I don't care.
Yeah.
Come at me.
I do agree. Like
that is
you're
the dumbest
ruining
thing ever.
You're ruining like the authenticity of that moment.
You're gonna have the bride walk down the aisle again because you didn't get the right shot for video.
Right. Yeah. So
you're gonna give the groom some onions to put in his pocket so he can cry again.
Alex is getting
I'm getting
emotional.
Fired up. I'm getting fired up.
But yeah, like there is definitely like a problem with doing both at the same time. Like you said, like one of them, you can't give 100% to each one.
But to keep it on track of the topic without veering too far off.
Yeah.
That is one of the big things that is causing videography to look like it is an afterthought.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
Not only look like it is, but look like it should be.
Yeah.
Because that's how it's being sold.
Yeah, for sure. 100% agree.
Period.
Period.
I would drop the mic, but it is on a boom arm, so it won't drop.
Oh gosh. Okay, well, I think that pretty much wraps it up, right? Any thoughts? Any more thoughts?
Any thoughts for for photography?
No.
What is one thing that you would say to those vendors that have that sort of influence, venues, planners, other photographers? Because sometimes photographers act as planners when there isn't one.
For sure.
What would you say to them to help educate the client on why video is so valuable and why it's so important that they book video?
I mean, I would just have a very realistic conversation about the intricacies of why you need to have video. It can be an uncomfortable topic, especially when you're planning a wedding. That's like the happiest day of your life. You have to be realistic. And if it's coming down to like a budget thing, I would say, let's look at the budget, rearrange some things and reprioritize maybe to make sure that you can add video. Because the last thing that you want to do is get married and not have something like video and then have a major regret. Speaking from personal experience, that's how I felt.
100%.
So, that's what I would say is, if you're a vendor, a vendor that's having an influence on your client who is on the fence about adding video, it's our responsibility to educate them to make sure that they have the best experience possible and that they can remember their day the way that it deserves to be remembered. And I mean, having video, like, there's just nothing better. Like, honestly, there really is nothing better.
And for the ones that are like, obviously the budget is an issue, and your first thought to combat that is to go to a company that does lots of wedding videos a year, and they have a volume company and whatever. Do some little research first to see if there is a solo company
that's newer,
that is newer,
like getting started.
See what kind of stuff they offer. If you want something that has experience, do that, but make them put in the contract and vet who exactly will be filming your wedding from that company. Make sure you know exactly who it is. You've spoken with them before you booked. And it's in the contract that those people are filming your wedding. Then, yes, go for the volume video company if that's where your budget's at. But if they can't oblige those things, find somebody else.
I think I'm just going to add this in here and then we can probably wrap it up. We had an experience within the last couple months that I don't know what I was going to say it humbled me, but it didn't. That's not correct. But I guess it reminded me of the way that our clients can perceive what we do. And it was when we were in the process of, we were talking to a bride and having lots of emails back and forth. We did a Zoom call with her. And then her parents weren't available to get on the Zoom. And she was like, my parents want to meet you. I thought they were like, let's have another Zoom. And I was like, that's totally fine. Let's do that. Cause I know, sometimes the parents are who is fronting the bill. And so they want to know where their money's going, and totally respect that. But they were like, no, they want to meet you in person. And when they were leaving, they literally were like, well, we met the bride's parents here at the studio and we had a conversation. It was just the four of us without even the couple. And when they were leaving, they just said something very like nonchalant in passing. They were like, we just wanted to make sure that we were hiring someone with integrity and understood the importance of what they're doing for our daughter's wedding. And I was like, 1000%, like, more people should do what you are doing. And I was like, wow, I was kind of like, we haven't had like that type of experience.
I mean, we've met the parents with the couple.
Yeah, but like
as
that,
our main first meeting.
Right, but that was like that was like the parents like vetting us to make sure that we understood the responsibility
that
they're paying us for. And I was like, why is like not everybody doing this?
Right.
Like, I loved it. I was like, it made me feel really good. And that not only do they like care enough about the wedding day to do that, but they are also like, it's a mutual respect. Like they respect us enough to like make sure that, you know, they are comfortable having a conversation with us. And I don't know, it was really good.
In addition, like to feed off of that, there are vendors, unfortunately, photo and video vendors, that the second that would have happened, they just seen it as a red flag.
Yeah.
And been like, yeah, I don't think I want to book you guys. And they would have pushed them off.
Yeah.
And they would have said, you know, maybe this client isn't for me. They're going to be too needy and blah, blah, blah. And
yeah. Or the mom isn't my client, or, you know, whatever the case might be.
I mean, the entire family is your client.
For sure.
I hate to break it to you.
I agree.
Because you're capturing the wedding for the entire family and their friends.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah. Anyway, I just thought that was really like, that was a really cool moment. And I respected them for doing that, because now I understand that they understand the importance of what we do. And there's a mutual respect there. And I was like, wow, I love these people. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
All right. Any last thoughts?
No, I need to blow my nose.
Okay. I don't have any last thoughts either, but I think as an industry, we can make this like a thing. It just takes intentionality and
conversations like this.
And just conversation. Sometimes they're slightly uncomfortable, but they're real. If you keep it real and you communicate, even with the couple.
It's all about communication,
Communication
guys.
can fix every issue we've ever had.
Yep. Definitely. For sure.
Okay. Well, if you have any thoughts on this topic, go to YouTube, if you're not on YouTube, and leave some comments and let us know what you think.
Yeah.
And if you think we're crazy and outside of our minds, and
go listen to a different podcast.
Go listen to a different podcast. No, leave a comment. I want to see what you have to say.
Alex.
What?
What did you say the other day about your toxic trait? Oh, you said that your toxic trait was like just like
getting to the line
without stepping over it. That I've never heard anything more true in my life. Alex likes a healthy debate.
My toxic trait is getting as close to the line as I physically possibly can.
You like a healthy debate.
That's not wrong.
I know. Okay. Anyway, that's about it for this week. That's all we got.
You know, I was never in debate in high school either.
God, you should.
I thought that was like the nerdy thing to do.
You know, I thought
I did all the sports and stuff too.
I thought that too, but like now I feel like I would have really liked it.
Man, I'd have been good.
Me too.
Maybe not structured debate. I'm better at like debate. Like if I had this personality.
What do you mean?
If I had this personality, like if I'd come into my personality while I was in high school, because you know I got the short straw, and I had my awkward phase during like you know, high school and the beginning of college, which is the worst possible time in the world to have that phase.
Poor Alex.
I would have been, if I was this Alex in high school and I was in debate, I probably would have gotten kicked off of debate because of how passionately I debated.
Or you would have won every one.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I'd have jumped over the podium and strangled somebody, maybe.
Oh my God.
No, because that's crossing the line.
This just got violent.
That's crossing the line. I would get to the line.
Oh my God.
I'd jump over the podium, but then I'd stop.
This took a turn.
Stop at the middle line.
Okay. We're done. We're done. Okay. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you on the next one. Peace.